Hey guys, welcome to my live. I haven't done that many Instagram lives, but today we are going to be talking about pre and postnatal mental health. Dr. Siba joined. Amazing. Let's add her. Okay, just waiting for her to join.
Hey, Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is my first time doing this split Instagram live thing. Pretty cool.
I know, it's my first time kind of like hosting one, so and hope it goes well. But let me try and pin the topic that we're going to be talking about.
Cool. Awesome. I think, is my face visible?
It is.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And your clinic in the background, it's perfect. Okay,
Oh,
I don't know if I know how to
you.
pin, to be honest. Let's see.
I'm
Postpartum mental health.
learning with you. This is
Oh. Oh gosh. Well.
And mashallah, you're pregnant.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. You know what, guys? I don't know how to pin, so if you're watching the video, we're talking about postpartum mental health. We'll repeat it as we go along. Yes, alhamdulillah, I'm pregnant. I'm 36 in one day today.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is very timely, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured
Yeah.
with my second pregnancy, I thought it'd be really fun to do kind of like a healthy mama series. Just because, you know, once I became a mom, I became so passionate about mom things, I guess. With my first pregnancy, postpartum, you know, I didn't anticipate any sort of, and I'm sure a lot of other women have the same sort of mentality. I didn't anticipate any sort of depression or anxiety because I'd never had that in my life. I've always been a confident, I would say, stable person. And I thought, that's never going to happen to me. But you know, hormones and nutrient deficiencies and all that crazy stuff can really take a toll on your body to the point where sometimes you just can't control it and you can't think your way out of a situation, you know? So, so I had pretty bad postpartum anxiety with my daughter, Alina.
Yeah.
And that occurred 3 months postpartum. So I started experiencing panic attacks for a few weeks. And then anxiety developed over the panic attacks. And that lasted until about 10 months postpartum. So, So for me, it was eye-opening. But I just think that this topic is so important because, you know, women and the mothers in our community, I think, are really the pillars of society, right? We hold our families together, we take care of our kids, we take care of our husbands, and we barely have time to take care of ourselves. And I feel like this topic is not really addressed properly, especially in the Muslim community. And there's so many factors, I think, that go into it, and it's so individual to each person, and not everyone wants to go on to take a pill for it. Some people want to try other avenues. So that's why I'm interested in this topic. So I thought it would be something good to talk about.
Yeah, well, I think it's really great too that you share your story, because that's a part of it, that, you know, it's something that really is pretty common, and it happens to women, like you said, that may not have any history of any kind of mood disorder. So yeah, it can be something that might take you by surprise. And thank you for sharing that. Like I'm a mom of a 15-month-old girl, and
oh my gosh. Oh yeah, my daughter's 18 months, so really close.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so we're having a baby around the same time. And yeah, like I'll tell you, to be honest, like one of the reasons why I even delayed having a baby, I mean, of course I was, you know, having a practice and things like that. There's never really a right time, but a part of it had to do with a lot of the like horror stories that I would hear about the postpartum period. And in one way, I think it was good because I felt like, okay, these are things that could happen. But in another way, it kind of scared me a little bit. But yeah, for me, kind of that postpartum anxiety would start to surface here and there. Where I'm like, oh my gosh, is she okay? Is she breathing? You know, things like that. And I'm like, okay, Aisha, you need to just, you know, calm down a little bit here. But yeah, like you said, it is a spectrum. Like it could affect people in many different ways, and I guess we'll get into it in a bit. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And Rebecca said she just had her first baby 3 weeks ago, hoping to gain some good information about this topic, inshallah.
Congratulations, Rebecca.
So she can learn what to look for and what to do if you need to. Yes, I would just say that, like to Rebecca, like, and just to everyone in general, like I prayed for an easy delivery. I prayed for breastfeeding to be easy for me. I never made dua for the postpartum period because I never heard horror stories about the postpartum period. Like no one told me about it. And it can happen, you know, a few months postpartum. Inshallah, that's something that never happens to any of you. But, you know, so for me, it happened at 3 months when I started feeling like I was getting the hang of things. I was like drinking my coffee again, and I was, you know, running off of like 4 hours of sleep, and I was still trying to keep the house clean. And I just started working out again. And then all of a sudden my symptoms started physically. They weren't mental symptoms. So I was having trouble eating, trouble swallowing. And then I started getting insomnia, which I've never had before. So even though I was completely exhausted, if you can't sleep when your baby sleeps, I think that's a sign of some hormonal issue going on. And then I got my first panic attack, which I thought I was dying. I mean, I think every time you get a panic attack, that's basically what you think is happening.
It's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, it can happen, you know, 3 months, I think even like, you know, further down postpartum. But inshallah, Dr. Aisha is going to give us some information on that today. So let me start with my questions. So just, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you see most often in the patients that come to see you?
Okay, sure. So as I mentioned, I'm a mom of a 15-month-old girl. Her name is Leia. And I live with my husband here in San Diego, California. I'm the eldest of 4 siblings. My grandmother is, or was, Allah yarhamha, may God rest, bless her soul. She was a really prominent midwife in Algeria. And although I did not get to grow up with her since I was born and raised here in Southern California, the times that I did get to spend with her and the stories that I heard about her really kind of is a part of the reason why I am in this field. And I have a practice here called Acupuncture Sanctuary for Women. And so I see women with all kinds of conditions. I see a lot of pain, a lot of stress, but a lot of autoimmunity as well, a lot of digestive issues, and fertility. And then with fertility, then I end up seeing them through pregnancy and postpartum.
Okay.
So yeah, that's about, and I also do some facial rejuvenation, which is more like the fun, fun stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome, mashallah. So is your grandmother what drew you to East Asian medicine, or what kind of drew you to that?
Well, what drew me to East Asian medicine was more, well, in my family, we kind of grew up a little bit more traditional in that the sciences were more pushed in our family. So one of us had to be a doctor, another one an engineer, another one an accountant or whatever. And so for me, it was like, you're the oldest, you're going to be the doctor. And it was okay. It wasn't something that was forced upon me, but it was more just like something I knew growing up that I was going to go into medicine. And so when that's kind of like my path I knew I was going to go through. My father, though, when I was 15, so when I was a sophomore in high school, he had a stroke in the brain, and it made him completely paralyzed, where his cognition is fully intact and he's fully aware, but his body is paralyzed. And he's been that way for about 17 years now. And it kind of made a big shift for me. At that moment, I was like, I need to graduate. I need to leave high school. What am I doing here? I need to be a doctor as soon as possible. I need to help him. I need to, and I had that kind of urgency. So I did end up leaving high school a couple years early, and did the whole volunteering at hospitals things, and starting on the bachelor's degree that you need to go to medical school. And I did a nutritional consulting program at the time, and the more and more I was volunteering at hospitals, the more I was asking and interviewing doctors about my dad's condition, the more I felt just really disenchanted with conventional Western medicine. I found that allopathic medicine is very good at treating people for very acute conditions. I mean, your appendix ruptures, you have a broken bone or something, that's you go take care of that in the emergency room. But when it comes to two camps, preventative medicine and chronic conditions, there are a lot of holes. And those are really the areas that interest me. And my dad being, by that time, in a chronic state of being paralyzed, and seeing that it was like kind of a dead end, I felt that I need to be looking into other things. So I started to look into different Native American medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and then traditional East Asian medicine came up, naturopathic medicine too. So I was evaluating which one should I do, since they were both kind of more programs that were a little bit more standardized than some of the more apprenticeship options out there. And so I dove into East Asian medicine because I felt like it was just a very different philosophy. And while naturopathic medicine is also wonderful, I felt like I wanted to go really deep into one of these things.
Yeah.
And so I went deep into East Asian medicine, pursued that. And I feel like even now, although, my father is still in that condition, and it's just, a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at least I can help him in a more physical way. And I've found beauty in this medicine. And so that's kind of what took me along this path. It was a little bit longer of a journey because I was kind of questioning, am I going to do medicine at all? And kind of, exploring some other things. But all the while I had this tug in my heart that I knew I wanted to go into some form of clinical practice. And so that's how I came. That's a kind of long answer of
that's
a lot of life events, but yeah.
No, that's amazing. Kind of low. Wow. Okay, so I totally agree with you that same for me as well. Conventional medicine, having health issues over the years, seeing doctors, and the only answer being take this pill, because I think I was diagnosed with PCOS a while ago. And
another common one.
I had weight gain issues. What happened? I had hormonal acne. So I've had hormone issues for quite a while before I got pregnant. But so the answer was always, take a pill, take the birth control pill or some sort of, and that's it. And you just have to be on it forever. So that's why I love the type of medicine you practice, and also naturopathic medicine. And I think it's just great because it gives people other tools to try and heal themselves.
Right.
So when it comes to people with to postpartum anxiety and depression, what are some of the first signs that you look for? Like if someone's coming to you in your clinic, what are some things that you notice are kind of red flags for postpartum anxiety or depression? So if there's a new mom and she just thinks maybe I just have the baby blues, but she's not sure, how do you differentiate between that? Because I know I had baby blues for a few weeks, which you're crying, you just feel hormonal. So how do you differentiate between that?
Sure. And so before going into signs and symptoms, just in general, postpartum anxiety, depression, OCD, these conditions are really, they can be run along a spectrum, again, of severity. So it's something that is officially diagnosed by a qualified psychologist or psychiatrist. I can notice, signs and symptoms and things. But as soon as I do hear some of these red flags, it's like, okay, we need to work as a team with another healthcare professional that can help you with this. So, yeah, there is no one size fits all. And another thing to note that I just want to mention to everybody listening is that maternal mental health disorders affect 1 in 7 women, so moms, and this can happen during pregnancy or postpartum, and it can happen even past the year postpartum. It's latent postpartum depression or anxiety. So just so that people are aware of that. And 1 in 7 is actually a very modest estimate because that's just people who seek help and are diagnosed. Yeah, so it's probably a lot larger than that. And even the CDC released a report recently saying that only 15% of women with postpartum depression actually seek treatment, seek further treatment after being diagnosed. So yeah, it's kind of like, this is a really good topic that you chose, and I actually really commend you for that. Yeah. So, but I have some things written down here that I'll just go through so that I don't miss any.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
the way it's officially, another thing is perinatal mood and anxiety disorder is more of like the updated term, and it's used interchangeably with postpartum depression, just in case anybody wants to know that too. So, and you're right, postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety are different, but they are comorbid, meaning they can exist together. So you may have one intense symptom that resonates here, you in general, whoever's listening, and or you may have a collection of these symptoms. So for postpartum depression, things like sadness, irritability or apathy, lack of interest in baby or yourself, hopelessness, sometimes thoughts that are just not you, like wanting to harm yourself or harm baby. That's postpartum depression, along with these things, feeling overwhelmed, kind of questioning yourself, feeling like your baby deserves better, that you should be doing better, guilt, and that kind of comes with that, resentment maybe towards your baby, your partner, or even friends that may not have children, and some bursts of out of control rage that you feel like, where did this even come from? Another thing could be just feeling numb, empty, nothing, kind of like you're just going through the motions. Bottomless sadness, can't stop crying, feeling weak, defective, feeling like a failure. Sleep, so feeling like, so depression and anxiety can be can't sleep when baby sleeps, or you wake frequently even when baby is sleeping. You kind of wake in the middle of the night, and in Chinese medicine especially, that 3 a.m. time period, if you're noticing consistently that you're waking up at 3 a.m., that's something to be aware of, that there could be something deeper going on. Or you feel like sleeping all the time, which we know you're very tired. It's, I've never experienced sleep deprivation like those first few months. And you're kind of like frantically Googling, like, how do I sleep? So, yeah, but this is like kind of to another level where it's just like you sleep and you never want to get up. Can't concentrate, focus, think, and then feeling disconnected. And it may also occur like you feel like you're doing everything right. You're exercising, you're doing yoga, you have that spiritual connection that's constantly being reinforced. You're taking your vitamins, your prenatal vitamins, postpartum as well, good nutrition, but you're still thinking like, why can't I snap out of this? That could also be. Because people are trying too, and they may still have these feelings. So you don't want to ignore that.
Yeah.
Another thing could be thoughts of just leaving, kind of feeling like your family would be better off without you. That's a big red flag. And another thing is like feeling so afraid to reach out because you feel like you're going to be judged, or worse, that you're going to be taken away from your baby. And that's actually pretty common, something that psychologists note that their patients or clients bring up a lot to them as a fear, as why they delay seeking treatment until things get pretty bad. Now, anxiety would be more like extreme worries, fears, paranoia, feeling loss of control, panic attacks, which presents very physically with like shortness of breath, chest pain. You feel like you're getting a heart attack, numbness and tingling, strange numbness and tingling in the body, where you're like, I know my foot is not asleep. You know what's going on. And that could also be related to common nutrient deficiencies that happen postpartum, like anemia, like B12 deficiency, which is can be a type of anemia.
Yeah, actually, interrupt you for sorry. I actually got tested this pregnancy. So I think, you know, prevention is the best medicine, right? So I'm trying to, and I know every pregnancy is different, but I'm trying to have a more enjoyable postpartum this time around. Yeah. So I did get tested by a naturopath, and I am borderline low in all my B vitamins. I'm extremely low in iron. So all my markers of iron show that I'm very, very low. I do have thalassemia trait, which some of you have, so I can't handle as much iron. But I did start supplementing with a small amount, so hopefully that helps. And what else? I'm low in vitamin D.
Super common.
Yeah, and I think that was the main things that I had. Yeah. So, and I have food sensitivities, a little bit of leaky gut because of that. So yeah, so it's just interesting because those things I know, even iron deficiency can be related to anxiety, and a lot of people probably don't know that. So if you're not eating enough meat or you're not digesting it properly, right, that could affect that. Yeah. Right.
And it's so beautiful and powerful that you have this knowledge at this point in your pregnancy before postpartum. Like you said, prevention is the best medicine.
Yes.
An ounce of prevention is equal to a pound of cure, basically. So that is very good. I mean, B vitamin deficiencies, iron deficiency, vitamin D deficiency is very, very common. And identifying food sensitivities is so important to lessen that burden on the body.
A lot. So everything that most of the time, a lot of times the things that you eat often are the things that you're sensitive to. Yeah. So like the most depressing thing for me is I'm sensitive to coconut milk. And I drink coconut milk every single day. I usually make like a smoothie with it, and I'll add some like supplements to it. And I'm allergic to it, and I'm sensitive to, not allergic, but I'm sensitive to all the, like basically all of the nuts. So I'm like, what kind of milk do I drink now? I think the only option for me is oat milk, but it's really interesting. You gotta be. It is interesting
now. Yeah, but the good thing is that, like, you know, like you said, once you do a lot of the, gut permeability, integrity healing, you'll eventually be able to add in certain things, inshallah. So yeah, that's good. It's good that you're working with somebody to help with that directly, like more bio-individualized medicine. So that's going to be helping you in the long run. Like I do like to run these tests with my ladies here just to kind of see what is going on and to have a measurement tool for before and after. But yeah, we do find that they're like, oh my gosh, this is something I eat all the time. Like, I don't think I'm sensitive to it. Then once they eliminate it, they're like, wow, I think I was because I feel so much better. But we get kind of used to being a little bit more puffy, having a little bit more joint pain. And it's like we think it's normal until we lift to those things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, so continue. You're talking about anxiety, I think the symptom.
Oh, yeah, no, and I feel like I'm going through this, and people are like, especially like women out there who you don't have a baby yet, or you're thinking of getting pregnant, or you're thinking of getting pregnant again. Don't be afraid by this.
Don't be afraid.
This is awareness.
It's awareness, and every pregnancy is different. My husband and I wanted to have a second child. Alhamdulillah, we were able to get pregnant again. And honestly, when I looked at the pregnancy test the second time around, I started crying, not out of happiness. I know that sounds bad. Out of fear, because, when you experience things like that, you do get traumatized. I'm definitely a little bit traumatized from the experience.
Yeah.
because you feel like you have a sense that you're losing control of your body, you know, and sometimes mind as well. And the best way I can describe it, and it's so funny because subhanAllah, and I feel like Allah gave me this experience to really humble me. And it really did bring me back to him, alhamdulillah, but I feel like he gave me this experience to tell me, like, you think you're in control. You're not. Of the most basic things, like eating and drinking. I could not eat and drink. And you just take it for granted every day, just like you take the bathroom for granted, or certain, you know, little things.
So true.
So I feel like it was a very humbling experience. But oh God, mom brain, what was I saying before this? Oh yes, the loss of control. You know, and the best way I can describe anxiety to someone who hasn't had it before is, you know, before I got pregnant, I used to think anxiety was just worrying too much. Like, if someone told me they had anxiety, I'm like, well, just calm down. Like, why can't you just relax? Or someone tells you they have depression, you're like, why can't you just be happy? You know, like there are certain people who, that's a very ignorant way of thinking, but sometimes if you don't experience it or you don't have knowledge about it, that's a way of thinking. And then once I experienced it, the best way I could describe it is that your body, my body, felt like it was reacting physically as if I was running from a tiger. Okay. So imagine you're running for your life, but you're just on your
fight
couch.
Or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight, complete fight or flight. But you're just sitting on the couch playing with your baby. So that's the best.
That's such a good way. That's an excellent way to describe it.
And you're like, my mind was like,
because that's what's happening.
And I couldn't rationalize it, and I couldn't talk myself out of it. So it's just crazy. So
it's actually, what you're saying is making me think of maybe a little bit of a tangent here, but like ADD in kids and even adults. But what they're doing is they're playing video games or they're playing Candy Crush on their phone or whatever, and it's something that's like igniting a response. So your heart rate is up, sweating a little bit, feeling like I'm in this, but their body is stagnant.
That's a really good.
And that can actually lead to ADD-like pathologies. And in Chinese medicine, we actually have this is something that's mentioned in the tradition of making sure that you have time for moving meditation, movements. There's one exercise that I guess I'll explain right now, but it's basically like when you wake up in the morning, or if you're feeling a little bit anxious, tap your body all over.
Really?
It's kind of like, like do like you're kind of like doing like a cup hand and just tapping your body all over. And you would kind of go from your extremities to your heart, kind of like the way you would dry brush. And that helps a lot with just kind of getting that stagnation out of your body. But yeah, what you described actually is like a really good way to put it for people who can't relate. And then for people who do, they're like, yes, I know that feeling. So
with, is there anything else you wanted to say about the symptoms for anxiety or depression?
No, maybe just another thing would be just feeling like physical symptoms, and then also just the lack of appetite. You may be even nursing, and if a mother is nursing, and although you should be feeling that kind of like ravenous hunger, you have no appetite. So that could be another red flag, or like feeling nauseous with nursing or pumping. So
a question that pops into my mind often is, my grandmother, my Siddu, she had like 5 kids. All your grandmothers and your great grandmothers, they had like 20 kids, and they're like, why can't you clean your floor with 10 babies? You know what I mean? So and subhanAllah, and it just seemed like Superwoman. Like my grandmother ironed her kids' underwear. I'm like, Siddu, why would you iron your kids' underwear? They're gonna wear it in a second. And I'm like, I don't even iron my daughters. I don't iron any of those. It's just really cute and really funny, but and it makes you wonder, like, did they have any postpartum anxiety or depression, and was it just something that was so taboo they didn't speak about it, or is this something that is just really on the rise, just the same way that autoimmune diseases are on the rise due to maybe the same factors like nutrient deficiencies or environmental toxins, leaky gut. What is your opinion on that?
Well, you do bring up a really good point. We want to use our ancestors as a reference to things, and kind of it's natural to want to like reap knowledge from the past and see how they handled things. But I do think that postpartum depression still existed. I mean, like I was speaking with a lovely lady who her she's older now. She's in her post menopausal phase, and she said in India sometimes she remembers like people going through like postpartum psychosis, and these women were often blamed for going into this mental state so that they could avoid their responsibilities and things. And so, but she's like, it's something that you don't talk about, you don't complain, you don't, so I do think that it still existed, but maybe it was a little bit more taboo. That's one. Another thing is, yeah, it could be a little bit more on the rise now, given our isolated way of living.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily the case in the past. In fact, I have a list here of just like the postpartum needs that are addressed in various traditions. And this was brought up by, or put together by Kimberly Johnson in her book, The Fourth Trimester. And we'll go into it maybe more later if we have time, but basically extended rest period is something that you see in many cultures where it's a given that mom is going to rest and rejuvenate for 40 days. Or in Chinese, they have a 40-day period called Zuoweizhi. It's a sitting out month. Or in India, there's like a sacred window. In the Vietnamese tradition, they have something called Namal, which is lying in a nest. In Mexico, they have La Cuantera. It's like 40-day resting period. So there's this period where moms do get to rest. Over here, and maybe in the Western world, North America, it is something that I think we're becoming a little bit more warm to. But we here actually focus a lot more on masculine traits like productivity. Being busy is a badge of honor, things like that, and we don't really embrace the feminine, which we can talk about later too. But yeah, extended rest period, especially in the first few days, nourishing foods, loving touch like massage and things, presence of wise spiritual women around, and more contact with nature. And so there is also the idea that the way that you are taken care of during the first, month or 40 days or 6 weeks or whatever it is, will determine your well-being for the next 40 years,
Wow.
42 years. So, and it's kind of like it's just a reflection of how the rest of your days are going to be. Yeah. So and that's why I really think that maybe our ancestors, and not like grandma is not like ancestor, but why they may be doing okay too, because they may have gotten a little bit more of that rest.
Village support too, because they were.
Oh yeah, that interconnectedness.
Yeah, we are
versus our independence.
Yeah, so isolated. It's there's pros and cons to now we can fly anywhere in the world and live anywhere, but if you're not close to family or if you don't have really close friends to help out, it is very difficult. If you want to go through that list now is that the entire list from?
Sure.
Yeah, we can go through that if you want. The ways to take care of yourself postpartum.
Yeah, so maybe we'll go. So I wanted to talk about like how to prevent, but let's see.
Oh yeah, we can start with that. Whatever. We could start with. Yeah.
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 Okay. Let's see. Okay, time flies, right?
No.
Okay, so maybe I'll talk about things that a mom should be aware of when she's pregnant, so that she can kind of safeguard herself against mood disorders that may progress in severity. So it is okay. It's okay to feel weepy, to feel maybe like a little bit overwhelmed, like you've gone through something, like, for example, like a woman that goes through C-section, that's major surgery, but oftentimes it may not be seen as her recovering from a major surgery. She may not be attended to the way somebody who had their appendix removed would be attended to. So yeah, that's a little tangent. But anyway, number one I would recommend is that moms get their thyroid checked.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that point. Yes.
Yeah.
When I had a baby, they checked my thyroid. I got checked by multiple people. A couple numbers are a little bit low.
Okay.
I was told that it's normal. My antibodies are normal.
Okay.
So
good.
I think it's normal.
Okay, good. And it's good. You keep getting it checked. Get it checked during, now it's really standard to get it checked during pregnancy. What I mean by it is TSH is being tested, but you really want to get TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, that's released from the pituitary gland to tell your thyroid to work, but there's other hormones too. Have your doctor run TSH, free T3, free T4, and TPO. So you mentioned antibodies, TPO, anti-TPO specifically. If that's elevated, you may not have full-blown hypothyroidism, but it may be an indicator that you may be at risk for Hashimoto's postpartum thyroiditis later on. So that's like a good one to run. That's not standard to be run, but it's good to check that.
So why is it good to check your thyroid? I mean, how does that affect depression?
Sure.
Yeah.
So thyroid hormone, there's practically every cell in our body has a receptor site for thyroid hormone. It is like the grand system for our metabolism in a way. And so when we have a sluggish thyroid, we've experienced things like dry skin, weight gain. So like moms that feel like, gosh, I'm working out, I'm doing everything right, I just cannot lose the weight. Fatigue, like really, really severe fatigue. And insufficient breast milk production could be a sign of hypothyroidism, and it's often missed postpartum. You have your 6-week visit, and then it's like, see you in a year. Yeah. And you may be going to lactation consultants, and you're like, you know what, I'm taking all these galactagogues, which are basically herbs that help to increase breast milk production, and you might notice that they help a little bit, but just not enough to nurture your baby. Depression is another sign of hypothyroidism, or something that can happen with hypothyroidism. And so it's really important to check that. Hyperthyroidism can actually happen right in the first few weeks after delivering. So you feel kind of this rush, this high, you feel a little bit anxious, you can't really sleep, but you're like, you know what, it's because of the adrenaline, I feel kind of good. These are the moms that like 2 weeks postpartum, they're back at their normal pre-baby weight.
Wow.
And then they crash.
That sounds exactly like my experience.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that could have been the case, although, I mean, work with your doctor. I don't necessarily recommend treating hyperthyroid. You might want to wait it out a little bit, as uncomfortable as it may be, because the treatment is pretty invasive. And then if it develops into postpartum hypothyroid, then you will have to, address it accordingly. Everybody's different, but yeah, that can sometimes happen with moms and that's another thing too, where it's like, whoa, like you get this like high and then boom, crash, and that could be just thyroid related, and it's often missed. So yeah, that's why I recommend that. And then getting your if by the way, thyroid, let's just some quick tips. So if ladies do end up having some issues with thyroid hormone production, sluggish thyroid during pregnancy, you definitely make sure to keep rechecking it postpartum. But if you do have that, selenium is super important. So selenium, 200 micrograms daily. Vitamin D, get that checked. So many women are deficient in vitamin D. And then make sure the water you're drinking is pretty clean. Fluoride can wreak havoc on your thyroid.
Really? Okay.
Other things is food sensitivities. So people with hypothyroidism, especially autoimmune, Hashimoto's or Graves' disease, should be especially mindful about gluten, dairy, soy, sugar, excess sugar, and those things. On nuts and maybe nuts, they'd have to check, but like kind of do an elimination diet and see, or run a food sensitivity test. But those things.
What did you do after clean water? You said something after clean water, or filtered water.
Clean water because of fluoride.
What was the next thing you said after
Ne-
that?
Next thing,
Lift.
food sensitivities.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, food sensitivities. Yeah,
I'm taking notes, guys. You should probably take notes because
I love
I'm gonna
that.
try to save this video for you guys,
I
by the
love
way, and post it on my Facebook page. That way you can reference it whenever you need to.
Awesome.
Yeah, inshallah.
That's great. Um, yeah, and then we mentioned this, check for anemia, check for pernicious B12 deficiency, but also check for iron deficiency anemia, as you mentioned too, like that could also cause one to feel extremely fatigued, down, run down, just headaches, not yourself, all that. And blood deficiency, more from like the traditional terminology, is very, very common postpartum. Vitamin D, magnesium is another one. You can get it checked,
I love
or
magnesium.
you can also supplement. Yeah, good stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's like the stress quelling mineral.
and it can be an excuse to take a bath too if you don't want to take a supplement. The days that I don't want to take my pill, I'm like, I'll just throw some stuff in the bath and
Love it.
yeah.
I love that. Actually, transdermal magnesium, taking it in through the skin, is a beautiful way to take in your magnesium. It actually is a more bioavailable way of getting it in than internally.
I know,
So
which
very
I
good.
love because sometimes it's hard for me to take like 20 pills a day. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's just to spray it on yourself or take a bath. Yeah, for sure.
exactly. Yes. I like the ancient minerals spray. You guys can
Yes.
just find it on Amazon. Yeah. And then nutrient dense diet. What does that mean? Eat the rainbow. Crowd out the bad. Eat foods that are, your cruciferous vegetables. I know there's like a whole debate with that and thyroid, but if you have lightly steamed cruciferous vegetables, it's actually really good for excess estrogen metabolism that a lot of us are dealing with, more from the environmental toxicity. But lots of vegetables, good healthy fruits like stone fruit, root vegetables are actually really good, especially pregnancy and postpartum, like your yams and your turnips, sweet potatoes, things like that. Um, Eat seasonally, see what's in season, and enjoy that. Another thing is that know yourself. If you do have pre-existing anxiety or depression, get that treated and assessed. Try to treat and work on as many things as possible even before conception. So when I work with my ladies here, I love it when I have a lady and she's like, I'm thinking of getting pregnant. And I'm like, okay, good, because we have time to work on things. Like you want to set yourself up for success. When you have your baby, biologically, the baby is the priority. The baby will be leaching nutrients from you if you're not taking it in internally. That's why women get bleeding gums, they get weak teeth when they go to the dentist. They get kind of like, they feel achy and everything. It's all from like minerals being taken from mom. So I do recommend that moms postpartum and prenatal. So a lot of times we do all these things prenatally, but we abandon everything postpartum. No, we got to continue that postpartum. So continue with your multivitamin, your prenatal, and your electrolytes. So you can take something like Sun Warrior Liquid Light. I really like. It's like a nice liquid. It has fulvic acid and like 78 trace minerals in it, or concentrace minerals. You can do that. Or you can take some Himalayan pink sea salt, add a pinch of that to warm water and drink that. Yeah. Avoid table salt at all costs. Exercise.
Awesome.
So you don't need.
So
Good.
I haven't had any in a while. I had the Redmond real salt.
Okay.
But I ran out, so I bought some Himalayan pink salt today. So
Beautiful.
I'm ready to start using that
Beautiful.
again. Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. You can even put that in your bath too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, especially with like postpartum swelling and things. Last few weeks, which you're in right now, if you're experiencing any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exercise. So, do not stop your exercise because you're pregnant. Of course, avoid like really like bouncy things, but exercise is something we still need to be doing. So we have our whole lymphatic system. We have our circulatory system, we have our lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system moves fluid and helps us with our detoxification processes effectively when we're moving. So if we're stagnant, it's not really going to move much and we're going to have like issues. So So just like yoga, walking is wonderful, like the best thing you could do. And then it depends on where somebody's at. You're a personal trainer. You have a ton of tips with this.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure like you recommend still exercising during pregnancy.
Yeah, for sure. And just, like listening to your body. If you don't feel like doing yoga, don't do yoga. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Just find some way
Yeah.
to move your body.
Yeah.
And I think also when you have kids and you're pregnant, you're kind of forced to do that. So
Yeah.
if your activity is taking your kids to the park, it's better than sitting down for like a ton, like long periods of time, right? So.
Oh yeah.
And even working out, and I tell people that even working out for 5 to 10 minutes makes a huge difference in your day, in your energy, your mood. I think we have to ditch kind of the all or nothing mindset, and kind of, especially postpartum, do what you can, like realistically, and keep your expectations really low.
Yeah, 100%. Love that. Love that. There was an exercise, especially postpartum, that I really liked, and it's 4 minutes. It's and it's called nitric oxide release by Dr. Mercola. You can find that on YouTube, and it seems like a whatever exercise, but when you do it, you're like huffing and puffing. But basically, it helps to increase nitric oxide in your body, which relaxes your blood vessels. You can also get a similar effect by having beet juice or arugula. Or dark chocolate, but this movement, it's literally 4 minutes, and you feel a world of difference when you're done with it. So like you said, you keep it simple, listen to your body. I like that too. Another thing is having movement done to you. So massage, or acupuncture or acupressure, self-massage. Abhyanga is a type of self-massage in Ayurvedic medicine, where you can have an herbal infused oil or whatever oil, coconut oil, and massage your body.
Okay.
Like go around your joints, kind of like, how often do we think about our shoulders and our elbows and our knees, and so this is like a way to just get in touch.
Okay, I like that.
Literally. Yeah. The other thing I would say is like set up support systems for yourself. Ask yourself, ideally, while you're pregnant, before baby comes, what makes you feel supported and calm? And they really think about it and write those things down. Plan for your home to be a sanctuary for you. Consider who you want to be there in the first few days, the first few weeks, months, not at all. There are some people that maybe you don't feel very comfortable with, and that's okay to say no. This is really the time to honor yourself and be a little selfish in that way. Our sensitivities are a little bit more heightened, and that's actually a beautiful thing. It's a sign that your motherly instincts are potent. And so if there's somebody that maybe you don't get along with too well, or they say things that agitate you, then it's okay to say, you know what, maybe you can visit me in a few months. Yeah. And then when people do visit you, make use of them. It's not a time for you to be serving anybody tea or whatever. And it's not a time for people to come and like chit chat. And in Chinese medicine, and I think this makes a lot of sense, our speech. We shouldn't be talking a lot. It taxes the mom speaking a lot.
That totally, I will say for me, and I'm a J2 girl, but when I talk a lot, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah.
My husband knows that I'm tired. My whole face shuts down. I have this kind of blank look on my face. Yeah. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. I'm bringing energy back into my body. I don't have energy to literally make facial expressions. But I will say, for my first pregnancy, everyone was visiting in the hospital, and then we got home, and I was, I remember sometimes we would have visitors, and I would be like catering to them, and I am so not doing that this time around, inshallah. I told my husband already, I'm like, no visitors at the hospital. I'm not good. Like, we are absolutely not having visitors at the hospital. Yeah. And then when we get home, I'll decide when I want visitors. Like, is that how it's going to be? And I am. That's good. Yeah. And I already have a plan for, I'm trying to plan out 2 to 3 months to always have some sort of family member around.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
actually
And make
excited.
use of them.
Yeah, totally make you, oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See your friends. I mean, this may sound weird, but see them as like stuff,
Hmm.
and oftentimes they'll be happy because they're like, okay, good, because I want to help. I just don't know how, but they retreat to like the way you guys communicate, hung out beforehand, and it's not the same. You guys are at completely different energy levels. Your focus is on baby,
Yeah.
and so yeah, you're like, you know what? Do you mind getting me this, or can you set up this thing for me? And it's okay to do that. And for me, that was actually something that was very difficult. I think maybe the next time around I'll be better with this. I kind of wanted to be more alone in a lot of ways, but that's also because I didn't really know how to ask these things. So it's like you, I'm kind of like next time around, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, those things are important. Let your people know what foods you like, what you don't like, what you have sensitivities to, and have them have a meal train set up.
Mm.
Um, Another thing is like ask yourself how you want to use technology. So we're very lucky that we have information at our fingertips, literally, but at the same time, that may not be a good thing.
Yeah.
Screen time releases a lot of blue light, and that can disrupt our circadian rhythm, meaning our sleep-wake cycles. And as soon as we hit postpartum, we're going to be sleeping at very odd times. We ideally should be sleeping when baby sleeps, just taking these micro naps. But it's incredibly difficult to do that when you've exposed yourself to blue light. Another thing is we know that social media is not a place to increase your self-esteem.
Mhm.
It's it can make somebody feel just not so good. You're may not be in the best state yourself, and so seeing the perfect images out there may not be the best thing. So kind of be mindful of the use of technology.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another
And
one.
that's
And
true.
then
I was actually, before I started having a bit of insomnia, because when you're nursing, there's nothing else to do. You just grab your phone.
yeah,
And I would like check my pregnancy app or Instagram.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I was on it all the time. Like, I'm never on my phone that much.
yeah.
Don't ask my husband that, but I really don't think on my phone that much. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
postpartum with my daughter, when I was nursing, I was always on my phone. And I didn't, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just something like, and these are things that we're telling us before we're in that state, because
Hmm.
we're not going to be in a state to be thinking about that. Like if you told me in those moments, those like 2 a.m. nursing session, I'm like burping baby, it's like taking her 30 minutes to burp, and tell me don't be on your phone, I'd be like, don't tell me that,
Exactly.
But like if I have it set up for myself and I'm like, look, these are the rules that you've put for yourself to help you, then yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think let me know also if I'm going, if like when I should
So,
stop.
so this is the list. So I have everything. So basically,
Okay.
guys, this is during pregnancy that we should do all this, right? Pregnancy and early postpartum, all the
Yeah.
that you gave us. So get your thyroid
Yeah.
checked, and you want to check TSH, free T3, free T4, and TPO antibodies. So if you
Yeah.
guys write that down, you can ask your doctor or your naturopath to check for that. And then if you do have thyroid issues, you said you want to keep getting them rechecked.
hmm Every 6 to 8 weeks.
Every 6 to 8 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe 3 months. I mean,
okay.
it depends on your doctor, but like not the standard every year. But
Okay.
like, yeah.
It can change so quickly.
hmm
Selenium, 200 micrograms daily helps with that. Vitamin D, filtered water,
hmm
getting food sensitivities checked. So maybe trying. You can even do an elimination diet if you guys don't want to go on. If you guys don't want to get a
Yeah.
test done, or if you don't
Yeah.
have the money for it. I think it's like around $200, something like that, to get it tested. But
Yeah. Depends on the
um,
test.
you can try doing an elimination diet. If you guys Google elimination diet, you can eliminate gluten, dairy,
hmm
soy, excess sugar, all the common allergens.
hmm
And then you said get your iron levels checked to see if you're anemic.
hmm
Um, Pernicious B12, get that checked in case you have a deficiency. Magnesium,
hmm
and
hmm
then a nutrient dense diet,
hmm
exercise, um, and then also bring movement into your body through massage and acupuncture. And then setting up support systems. So I love when you said what makes you feel supported and calm. I just love that. It's so funny when you said that
Yeah.
instantly. I was like, my mom.
No,
Mom.
yeah, right. And that's like the best person. Like if we're fortunate enough to have our mom around, that's like the best person to hold on to.
Totally
And yeah, yeah.
agreed.
I know I'm getting like emotional now,
I
just saying,
I know, right?
but yeah.
I would have
And
her around all the time if I could.
yeah. And speaking of which, like our mom actually will help us to embrace that feminine energy that we need. So like
Mm-hmm.
in Chinese theory, we look at things in terms of a duality of yin and yang, which you're likely familiar with. But yin is more like feminine, the moon, darkness, cold, maybe going internal, softness, repair time. Yang is brightness, warmth, sun, external, working hard, growth. So during pregnancy, you're in your yang phase. You're building this baby. You're a little
Okay.
bit more like, like you, I mean, you may not feel very like energetic, but it's more of a time of like an outward expression. You're visibly pregnant.
Right.
Postpartum is a yin phase. That's the more of the feminine time to go inward, to be in a more calm, repairing, relaxed state as much as possible. And so, like I was saying earlier, in our society where we kind of celebrate and yeah, celebrate the more masculine traits, this is a time to really be more in the feminine, be more attuned emotionally, be okay with interdependence, be able to slow down, kind of get in touch with our creative side, musical, rhythmic side.
I feel
So
like a
being
lot
a
of
mom helps with
I love
that.
that. I love that description.
Yeah.
And I feel like I struggle with that,
Hmm.
with the yin energy,
Yeah.
with embracing my female energy, especially
Yeah.
being okay with interdependence, depending on other
Hmm.
people, and
Yeah.
slowing down. But also one of the points that you made about ask yourself how you want to use technology, right? So be careful with how much you're on social media. I think
Yep.
postpartum, and that's a great point this time around, I'm just going to I don't know. I need to make a plan of action, but because when you're on social media, if you have a little business, or if you're a blogger and you're trying to grow your Instagram, or
Hmm.
you feel like you have to post every single day, and there's all this pressure.
Yeah.
This person's starting a podcast, but you want to start a podcast, or this person's doing this program.
Yeah.
You thought of this
Right.
program 5 years ago, and you need to do it too, and uh, so you are
Yeah.
like
A lot of the
constantly,
comparison.
yeah, you're constantly comparing yourself to
Hmm.
the busyness on social media, and that
Right.
that doesn't help with you being in a relaxed state, right?
No, it
That's something to
doesn't.
be aware of.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's important to ask ourselves these questions, like, what relationship do I have with rest?
Mm-hmm.
Am I somebody that when I do have moments to rest, I really don't take advantage of it? Especially if you're like a go, go, go personality. Ask yourself, what do I do when I feel stressed out? How do I deal with that? And even ask yourself, what do I anticipate will happen postpartum? And how do I want to deal with it? Kind of just like playing out in a healthy way scenarios so that you can, be ready
Right.
in a way. But,
That's
but yeah.
amazing. I love that. And just to let you guys, yeah, just like playing off of that, using imagery is so
Mhm. Yeah.
useful too. So for my labor and delivery with my daughter, I was really scared of having a C-section. I really wanted to avoid it. So
Yeah.
but I didn't want to have fear around it if it did happen. So
Yeah.
what I did is I imagined the scenarios playing in my head. It says we have 125 remaining. Oh gosh, is there a time limit on this thing? Oh
Oh.
my god. Okay, guys, we might be ending in a minute.
Okay.
Okay,
Or we can
well,
restart it.
can we restart it? Oh my goodness. So use imagery to help with imagining different scenarios. If you're stressed out postpartum, how would you deal with it? Or if you had anxiety postpartum, how would you deal with it? Or if you had a C-section, how
Yeah.
would you deal with it? It really helps.
Right.
Yeah, so there's one more question I
100%.
had for you, and that was
Sure.
your techniques or things you use, maybe herbs, to help with
Hmm.
your clients who have postpartum depression and anxiety. I'm just like looking at the timer now, so if
Sure.
it
I
ends, you
know. And
guys, I'm sorry. We will just start another one, and it'll be really quick. We're just going to answer this last question.
Sure. Yeah. And then I'll try to also make posts about this as well on my thing.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, so like some herbs for postpartum period specifically are more of your warming herbs. So you want to avoid caffeine, actually. I mean, you could, I'm not anti-coffee, but I mean, I love my coffee, but okay, good. Yeah, but something like a rooibos tea, rooibos, with warm herbs like cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, cloves, nutmeg. These are really good. Fennel for